Welcome to the Nomad podcast. I'm Travis Lima, and today's our first episode. So we've got Franco Crinier on with us today, and he is all about navigating an ever-shifting business landscape and inspiring and helping other South African business owners to do the same. He's joining me from Namibia on his way to Dubai. Franco, how are things your side?
Yes, how's it, Travis? Yeah, no, doing very well, thank you. Currently busy traveling, doing my rounds on my way to Dubai.
So the kind of topic that we were going to be speaking about today, which I think is pretty relevant, is one where a lot of business owners in South Africa, and I'm sure the world, are struggling with, and that's to actually work on the business, not necessarily in the business. So I'm happy to have you on the call, because it sounds like you've got your fingers in sort of all different pies and things like that. How does one actually go about working on a business and not in the business?
To make time to think, to actually make time to sit back and say, listen, where am I in this journey? Realizing that it is a journey, first of all. At Nomad.cloud, we came up with this concept, and specifically speaking to your point of how do you set yourself free? How do you set your business free? How do you create time for yourself to be able to spend more time on other things instead of just chasing the numbers and chasing the business? And the four spheres, or the four core pillars of a business, as we define it, is brand or branding, people, structures, and systems. Now, we truly believe that if those four elements of a business is set up and structured in such a way that it works efficiently and effectively, then the business owner can stand back, because each of those spheres will be able to operate to some extent or a large extent on its own. Branding being the way in which we conduct or tell our story outwards and inwards to our staff. How we build brand, and then secondly, how we market at a later stage. People, probably the most important one of all these. And without the correct people on board, it's going to be very difficult to pass the buck, to pass responsibility. You need to find people that share the same vision, that shares the same dream, that are willing to take responsibility and build this thing along with you. So that's for people. Structures would be, how you set up these things, either as a legal formalities or then the structures within the business. If everything is structured around you have to sign off the invoice. You have to check the final stock listing. Then it's never going to be a case in point where you can stand back. And systems is, how do you set up systems and processes and procedures to make sure that things work effectively without you. So you really have to work diligently at putting these things in place. Saying branding, saying people, structures, and systems is one thing, but actually working on those things and getting them in place, I guess that's the difficulty. And people really have to let go. It's a case in point of that you as business owner must be able to stand back and say, listen, I am delegating responsibility. I cannot be a control freak. I must delegate. I must put these things in place, and I must have people to run these operations for me. And those four spheres are core to what you've just referred to, Travis.
Yeah, I think it's interesting because I ran a freelance sort of solo entrepreneur company at one stage, so I was very much in the gears of things, and I have to say that it is difficult. It's difficult to take a step back, to give some time to think about what's going on in your business, because it's almost like, I suppose it's that analogy of that spinning plate, where if you stop spinning those plates and you've got maybe 10 of them going at once, then something's going to drop.
Maybe I should just take it one step further, and maybe just also say that one must realize that what you are doing or what you're busy with, in certain cases, duplication or not being involved is not possible. If you mentioned you were a freelancer, or your skill set is what made that work. So you must ask yourself, is it possible to duplicate this thing? Is it possible to put the 4 spheres in place and make it run without you? And in some instances, it's just simply not possible. If you are a copy editor, for instance, and you do technical work relating to copy editing, how in your life are you going to be able to duplicate yourself and transfer your skill set and knowledge base to someone, unless you then specifically go into business mode where you actually start a platform where you then utilize other copy editors. But you see, you must understand what you want out of this, and sometimes it's just not so easy to actually do the duplication. If you think about a doctor, for instance, that's another example. How do you really take a doctor or a specialist or orthopedic surgeon and you have him duplicate? So in some instances, it's really not that possible to actually go and do that. And once you've identified what you are doing and what business you are and whether you can, then you can potentially say, listen, I can apply these 4 spheres. I think
that makes.
I think being realistic with yourself and saying, listen, how do I approach it is probably the first step of trying to set yourself free.
I think that's a very good point, and it's also something that maybe you don't have to bear the burden of trying to duplicate a business that isn't meant to be duplicated in a sense, or perhaps there is some sort of supporting service or product that you can try and productize yourself in, or your knowledge, setting up a course or something similar. So that's possibly an avenue. But what about? Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
No. Just saying that, it doesn't take away from the fact that even if you are a doctor or a copy editor, that you can still, have some efficiencies in your business. Whether that being cloud-based accounting solutions where you have a system that your bank statement feeds automatically into your system, takes away from the fact that you have to do half an hour's work. You can do 5 minutes work. So you really have to go and look for the efficiencies in what you are doing. Setting up a duplicatable business may not be possible for you. Looking at all 4 spheres may not specifically be relevant to you, but in each of those, there are elements that you can actually buy yourself some time and make sure that you do get more productive and create time for yourself.
And if we think about Nomad.cloud, from what I could tell, that is essentially the vision of the company and this initiative. It's to try and give business owners that support what they need, because, and I'll let you speak a little bit more about that. But I know for myself, I would have loved, say, 5-6 years ago when I was doing my freelance business, I would have loved to go to someone and actually just get some guidance or coaching or a outside perspective of what to do. Because, man, to be a business owner in South Africa can sometimes be a very lonely place. You just don't know who to turn to.
Yeah, it's unfortunate it's become that. If you're a business owner, you're this outlier. On the one hand, we sort of all know that the revival of the economy is probably dependent on entrepreneurs and business owners. But on the other hand, if you are a business owner, you must be a bit crazy. You must be a bit starkly mad, actually, to be honest with you. With all the difficulties that you face, whether that be from regulation or just purely, all the administrative burdens, that you have to go through to get stuff done. So are there really a one place that you can go to for advice and for assistance? In general, it's always been, the accountant or the bookkeeper as such, but, they really weren't all that great at advising. They had a much bigger compliance sort of take on stuff. And as they become more and more busy, they just do run of the mill sort of stuff. And then you ask yourself, where do you go to? You can go to business partners or the website, and you'll find a website here or there that you can actually make use of. And as you delve a bit deeper into, who can help me, where I can get assistance from, you're completely right in saying that, Travis, that, there's, very limited resources really all available in one place that actually are able to help you. And that's definitely, one of the reasons that Nomad.cloud was founded, is to become the premier business hub, the premier business community in South Africa for people that run businesses, for business owners. You can go there, you can find support, you can be part of a community. And then the actual service delivery is structured in such a way that we can actually assist you with all four spheres. From starting out a business, if you want to start a business tomorrow morning, you can actually go into the website and you can do a registration, all electronic. You don't have to come into an office. From setting up your company, from registering for VAT or compensation commissioner, from getting your labor contracts for your staff, for instance, getting policies and procedures for certain labor-related matters, all the way through to actually doing monthly accounting, getting packages, software packages, assisting you with that. And then taking it one step further, the branding aspect, the people aspect, those things are also available within this sort of under this umbrella, to make sure that you as a business owner has got some place that you can go to for guidance.
Great. Okay. Well, Franco, it's been a pleasure chatting to you, and thank you for giving me a bit of your time just to hear what you have to say.
Yeah, thanks, Travis. Yeah, it's been awesome doing this first podcast with you, and I hope there's many more to come.
Great. Okay. Well, everyone who is listening, thank you very much. You have the links of how you can get in touch with Nomad.cloud and Franco as well. And thank you very much for listening, and have a great day.